Hi everybody, my name is Ananda Leeke and I am a wellness professional, an artist, an author, and a proud resident of the U Street neighborhood. You can see U Street in the background where I'm walking. And I have lived in this neighborhood for 30 years. And one of the reasons why I love this neighborhood so much is because, one, it sits in a city, DC, and Northwest DC, on land that was nurtured, prayed over, created by the Piscataway Native American nation. And we have to honor the First Nations and the land, especially in North America, United States, Canada. Their blood, their sweat, their tears, their prayers, their creativity, their spirits live on in this land, and we must honor it. The second reason why I'm so proud to live in this neighborhood is because it is a testament to the strength and the creativity and the spirits and the hearts and the minds of African Americans. Before the civil rights movement took off and laws were changed, U Street was the place where African Americans came to live, to have businesses, to have community, to learn, to grow, to celebrate, to live their lives, to express their humanity, their creativity. And I grew up right outside of DC in Prince George's County. My father grew up in DC. My grandparents were here. My aunt was here. They came in the 30s and the 40s. And the stories that I grew up hearing from them about U Street and what it meant, they stayed with me. So in 1990, as a recent law graduate, I decided to purchase a condo. And I'm so happy that I'm still here and that I have a piece of the U Street rock. It is a blessing. Now, when I moved to the neighborhood 30 years ago, I was stressed. And here's why. I was stressed because I didn't know how I was going to make the mortgage payment. And the very day that I signed the deed for this beautiful one-bedroom condo on U Street, I was going back to a job that I found out I would not have in 2 months. I was clerking as a law clerk for an administrative law judge, Judge Robert E. Duncan. Rest in peace, Judge Duncan. And we were at the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And I had, with my judge, we had applied for an extension that I thought would guarantee me at least another year. And that was going to help me lay the foundation for the condo, as well as help support me while I was in graduate law school part-time at Georgetown University Law Center. That very day that I signed the mortgage papers, the deed I said sign my life away for 30 years, that was also the first day that I started graduate law school at Georgetown University Law Center. I was getting my Master of Laws in Securities and Financial Regulation. I loved the markets. That just lit me up. When I went to class that night, I had that condo, but I had that huge looming bill over my head, the 30-year mortgage. And coupled with that, I was studying for the bar exam. Yes, I had not passed the bar exam yet. And that experience, coupled with trying to figure out how was I going to make ends meet, stressed me to beyond my capacity. And I ended up going back to a self-care practice that my mother had suggested while I was studying for the bar exam right out of law school at Howard University Law School. Big shout out to my Howard University family, HU, you know. Well, I started walking. That was the practice. It was a mindful self-care practice. Didn't know it at the time, but just as I'm walking this morning, talking to you, that laid the foundation for my commitment to practicing wellness in my life, my commitment to checking in with my body when I'm stressed, when I'm not stressed. And I gotta say that 30 years later, I am still walking, still talking it, still using the walking practice, the mindful walking practice, along with other mindful self-care practices that I discovered over the 30 years, from living on U Street, from a career that went from law to investment banking to nonprofit management to entrepreneurship to digital communications to who I am today as an artist, a wellness professional, and an author of 3 mindfulness and yoga inspired books. First book is Love's Troubadours, a yoga inspired novel that takes place on U Street and in other places in the city of DC and New York and Chicago and Oakland and San Francisco, about a yoga teacher who's kind of like me but not like me, if you know what I mean. And her battles with identifying with her career as a museum curator and a yoga teacher, and the life lessons that she learned when she had to go through a career restructuring, and the loss of a parent, and the family secrets, and her dating life and relationships and online dating. All of those modern struggles of a woman. And the second book is called That Which Awakens Me. It is a mindful creativity memoir about my journey from young lawyer, investment banker, to a creative entrepreneur, an artist, a meditation teacher, a yoga teacher, a mindfulness consultant, an entrepreneur, the person that I am today as the Chief Mindfulness Officer of Ananda Leeke Consulting, a wellness company that is dedicated to personal and professional development, helping people, businesses, organizations, and communities become resilient and embrace thriving mindfully as they practice mindful self-care, using their creativity and rooting themselves in this practice of mindfulness, this birthright that we all have, the ability to be aware of what's happening in the present moment with what I call the big 5: compassion, loving kindness, non-judgment, patience, forgiveness. Yeah, the big 5. So being on U Street has given my life a richness that I'm writing about right now in my current book project called Thriving Mindfully as Me. Thriving Mindfully as Me. It is the 3rd memoir. The 2nd memoir was called, or is called, Digital Sisterhood. It's a mindful technology memoir about how I was hesitant, let me just say resistant, to getting online in 1986 when I started law school. I was in college from 1982 to 86, and I was at Morgan State University majoring in French, and my roommate in my senior year, Lisa, told me that I needed to get with the program and learn computers. She was a computer science major, computer geek, and she kept telling me, and I said, I don't need those computers. I have an electric typewriter, I'll be all right. Well, the first few days of law school, I realized Lisa was right, because I had to get on board quickly, and I struggled with that. And one of my dear law school classmates, Lisa Randolph from Cincinnati. Big shout out to Lisa. She held my hand in the Howard University Law School library and helped me get on to LexisNexis. It seems like it was a small thing, but it was a huge thing, because what I found when I got online was I had so much access to information, and I was a news junkie, and I could just explore different things. And as the years went by, my love affair with technology and what it could do just expanded. And with the encouragement and support of my mom and a host of other women, my life online just expanded. I had an opportunity to go to the but the United Nations Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing, China in 1995. That was huge. I traveled with Barbara Arnwine from the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. She was a former mentor and a boss when I was in law school, and I worked with her when she was in Boston. And Dr. Dorothy Height from the National Council of Negro Women, Susan Taylor from Essence Magazine, and a host of other Black women luminaries and thought leaders and artists and all kinds of folks. It was the trip of all trips, I gotta tell you. While I was there, my roommate Sharon had to send some email. And at the time, I was working in DC government, and we did not have email. But my mom kept sending me these AOL packages and telling me I needed to get a computer and telling me I needed to get online. I was using a computer, but I was just using it for Word and Excel. I was behind. When I walked into this internet cafe that was set up for women from all over the world, and I saw these women sending emails and connecting and exchanging business cards, I felt like, wow, I'm missing out. How am I going to stay and connect with these women? How am I going to build community? So when I got home, I opened up one of those AOL packages. I signed up for my first email. And with the encouragement and support of women with businesses on U Street, I got online. They were a community that I was around. It was Sister Space and Books. And there were a number of sisters there that were, using the web. One in particular, Shireen. I got to give a big shout out to Shireen, the original digital sister with a SISTA, because talking to Shireen made me get a home computer. And thankfully I did, because it changed my life. It changed my world. I was smitten, and I haven't turned back since. And so Digital Sisterhood celebrates my journey, my career in digital communications, and the impact that women have made in my life, both online and offline. And it also talks about how I learned how to take better care of myself while I was working online and offline. I learned a lot of lessons in my time online. So check it out. It's available on Amazon. All the books are available on Amazon. So this life that I've had on U Street has allowed me to serve the community as well. In the 90s, I used to host poetry, open mics, poetry circles and groups at Sister Space and Books, at Claudette Collections. It's been a number of businesses, at Trade Secrets. I've also taught yoga classes and created art and sold art in some of these stores. And I've always been committed to building community. In 2018, I was searching for a way to give back to the community. And I gotta tell you, it was as a result of the election from 2016. I really struggled with the results of that election, and I ended up needing to really dig deep into what I was going to do next in my life. How was I going to transform the anger, the hopelessness that I felt into something useful for both me and my community? And so I decided to do a mindfulness training with the Engaged Mindfulness Institute. It was a year-long training that I started in August of 2017, and it really started as me taking better care of myself, mindful self-care, like dropping down into an intensive experience to really support myself. And what ended up happening was that I was certified as a mindfulness teacher, and I had to create a course as a part of my graduation from that program. And that course was Thriving Mindfully. And I needed to find a place in my community to share that with. And I partnered with an amazing business called Key Kratom CBDT, located at 1517 U Street Northwest. And we partnered together and launched in April of 2018 the Mindful Monday Meditation class. It's a community-based class that comes together every single Monday except for Memorial Day, July 4th weekend, if it falls on a Monday, Labor Day, and either the last 2 or 3 Mondays in December. And we meet from 6:15 to 7:30 p.m. and we participate in mindfulness meditation. There's a mindfulness of the body meditation, one of the breath, loving kindness, and we also have mindful discussion and reflection. And this year we're adding mindful creativity with an open mic on the 3rd Monday of each month. And as a result of this partnership for the last 2 years, we've been able to build a diverse community that is committed to supporting each other in our journeys, in our lives, our careers, our social justice activism. It is an intergenerational community, and it is just one more reason why I have enjoyed living in the U Street neighborhood for 30 years now. Now, where am I now? So, over the past 30 years, I've developed skills as an artist in residence for Smith Center for Healing in the Arts. I started working with them in 2000 and started working at Howard University Hospital in 2003. And so from 2000 to 2018, Smith Center for Healing in the Arts, which is located right on U Street, I was able to serve patients, their families, and the healthcare teams at Howard University Hospital, as well as Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, with my gifts as an artist, as well as a Reiki practitioner and a yoga teacher. I was able to weave those skills together and practice every week with the people that I was called to serve. And here's what happened. You know, I thought I was doing something big for them, but they did something big for me. They really opened up my heart and allowed me to see my calling and step into it, not just as work, but as sacred service, as a wellness professional. And it also inspired me to become a yoga teacher, to become a Reiki Master practitioner, to further my education and understanding of mindfulness with this mindfulness teacher certification that I completed, and to go deeper in my expression as an artist. When I started there, I was a wire sculptor. I landed into mixed media using my poetry. I was able to write 3 books while I served there. Powerful, powerful time in my life, and I'm eternally grateful. And why? Because it was born on U Street. It was born on U Street. You see why this neighborhood means so much to me? Not only that, the neighbors, the dogs, the businesses, all of it, U Street, it means so much to me. So now, where am I? I'm still on U Street, still making things happen, and I am now bringing it all together under this umbrella of Thriving Mindfully, a heart-centered approach to being the real you. A heart-centered approach to being the real you. It starts in our hearts. That's what I've learned over the last 30 years here on U Street and in the world. It starts with the heart. And what better way than to open up our hearts with mindful self-care, mindful creativity, and all of the lessons that we learn through living, through serving, through relating to others. That's my call, to help people do that, to help businesses, to help organizations, to help communities, to thrive mindfully and be resilient. Be the resilient ones we were created to be. And to do that with the 5 thriving mindfully commitments. The first one is slow your living. Slow your living. You know, I was talking earlier about how I discovered this mindful walking practice, and that led into meditation and yoga and becoming still and tapping into what was happening inside me, and learning how to manage my reactions and learning how to manage my stress. It's an ongoing journey. I'm still on it, still learning, still growing, sharing what I learned, listening to others, reading, being in the midst of it all. So that's slow your living. That's the first commitment. The second one is sustain your living. I've been fortunate that I have been able to, the last 20 years have been sweet in terms of my career. I've been able to design different positions, from nonprofit management to digital communications to my own business as an entrepreneur, a wellness entrepreneur, and my own company. So sustain your living, and it all starts with that practice, that mindful self-care practice, and using the birthright that we have in mindfulness and the birthright that we have as creative beings. We're all creative, tapping into that. The third commitment, the third thriving mindfully commitment, is share your living. That's the relationships, and that's where I've learned a lot of my lessons. I got to tell you, like when I was in law school and even afterwards, many years, even up till, you know, the 2015-16, I used this really dangerous practice. It was emotionally dangerous for me, of isolating myself when things didn't go the way that I wanted and I needed to focus. I would step away from relationships, and that hurt a lot of relationships. I lost people from my life because I stepped away from them, and I said I had to focus, and I was so busy focusing on career, focusing on business, identifying with that, like that was who I was, that I lost people. But I learned a lot of lessons in that. And so share your living is something that I am invested in for the rest of my life, sharing my life with my loved ones, sharing my life with folks in my community, still learning how to do that. You know, that's an ongoing journey for me. The fourth thriving mindfully commitment is serve through your living. Serve through your living. And I got to tell you that growing up Catholic, my mom is a former Catholic school principal and teacher. My parents are born and bred and currently active in the Catholic Church. Shout out to St. Joseph's Catholic Church and St. Augustine's Catholic Church. But the Catholic Church has a huge commitment to community service. And as a child growing up, that's where I learned it. Let me tell you where I got a huge dose of it. Also from Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. That is my mother's sorority, my sorority, my great-grandmother's sorority, my great-aunt's sorority. My mom pledged at Butler University in 1959, Alpha chapter. I pledged at Morgan State University in 1983, fall 1983. Shout out to Beta Tau chapter. And it was through the sorority, growing up, being exposed to all of these high-powered women that were committed to community service. I saw it from an early age. My mother was always active, continues to be active, even in her now retired life, semi-retired life. And so that really gave me a significant understanding and a commitment to community service. I took that as a member and expanded that while I was working as a student attorney for law students in court, which is now Rising for Justice. And in my last year at Howard University Law School, I took a year and worked as a student attorney in the landlord-tenant division. That opened me up to so many issues that I gotta tell you, I lived in DC, was outside of DC growing up in Prince George's County, but I had no idea of the severity of housing issues that DC residents and others were facing. And I had a first-hand look at that. And what that did was that had me develop a commitment to working in community. Wherever I am, I made a commitment to say, I'm going to work in my community, share my gifts in some way. And I had the distinct honor and pleasure of working at Law Students in Court from 2015 to 2016 as their first digital communications director, creating a social media program that now lays the foundation for what they do at Rising for Justice. They changed the name this year. Shout out to Moses Cook and the whole team and all of the work that he did and everyone before us that did. Rising for Justice is an amazing organization, formerly known as DC Law Students in Court. So this whole serving through your living, serve through your living, that fourth commitment is, it comes from my heart. And I'm doing it now, with the Mindful Monday meditation class in my community. At Key Kratom CBDT every single Monday, leading that meditation class. It's free for everyone, so come on by, 6:15 to 7:30 p.m., another shout out. Now the last commitment, the fifth commitment, the Thriving Mindful commitment is called Savor Your Living. Savor, S-A-V-O-R, savor. One of my favorite words because it reminds me how important it is to celebrate our small, medium, and big wins in our life. Now here's the thing. I didn't always do that. I spent almost 28 years not celebrating my law school graduation, my graduate law school graduation, purchasing the condo. Really fully celebrating it. I let 8 times of failing the bar exam, 8 times in a row, mind you, 4 years in a row. You could get a college degree in that time. I let that overshadow all of my wins. I just kept going. I just kept achieving. I'm a recovering high achiever. I'm a box checker. And it wasn't until 2018, in February of 2018, that I was in the midst of completing that Engage Mindfulness Institute course. And a part of that brought up some issues for me. And I'm thankful that it did because it brought up the fact that I needed to forgive myself and others. I needed to do radical forgiveness. So I reached out to family and trusted friends and asked them, where did they see in my life, in my heart, my spirit, my mind, my body, where did they see that I needed to forgive myself? Like, what were some of the things that I was missing? My mother and I were hanging out and we were in Panera Bread, of all places. And she sat and looked straight at me in her Teresa Leeke way. She can see straight through me. That's my mama. And she told me, she said, you haven't fully forgiven yourself for failing the bar exam. And my eyes watered up, tears. And she was right. So I spent the next year going deep in forgiveness. And I got to tell you, I had this chance to go to the Big Bear Meditation Retreat Center, let me say that right, and give a big shout out to Bill Resnick, who is one of the co-founders and one of my EMI, Engage Mindfulness Institute brothers. And he invited me out for a mindfulness meditation teacher inaugural retreat. Beautiful, beautiful space. Go check it out. It's the Big Bear Retreat Center in Big Bear, California. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Big shout out to Rob and all of the folks that are a part of that retreat center. I love them. While I was there, one of the meditation leaders, James, we were sitting in a circle, and we had a chance to really talk about what were some of our issues. And I was kind of glazing over stuff. And James and the people in that room, they called me on my ish, y'all. And that's where I broke down, and I realized that I wasn't ready to forgive myself and others. And they gave me some tools that I currently use now, but they also helped me open up to the fact that I need to celebrate my small, my medium, and my big wins. And I gotta tell you, it's been transformative. And so, one of my biggest life wins is having lived in this neighborhood for 30 years. And to see all of the changes, some things that I've liked, some things I haven't liked, but to be here still and to be in community with others, to be able to breathe, to be able to serve, to be able to live and share my life with my neighbors here, and to grow, and to just move through, and to support the businesses that are here, to pet the dogs, to teach yoga in Malcolm X Meridian Hill Park, to lead meditation, all of these memories, all of these current activities, all of this wonderful, wonderful, to shop, to wear things that people have created on your street, all of it enriches my life. And it is one of the main reasons why I'm able to stand here today and celebrate and encourage you. If you haven't been to U Street Northwest in DC, check it out. It is fabulous. It's magical. It's gone through a lot of changes. They got gentrification like so many cities. That's something that I wrestle with. I'm going to be honest with you. I wrestle with it. There's so much beauty here too. There's so much here. And I'm grateful for it all because it's taught me all, and it's helped lay a foundation for who I am and what I do. I am a spiritual being having a human experience as a wellness professional, an author, an artist, someone who has proudly and lovingly lived in this community for 30 years. So I invite you to follow me on social media at Ananda Leeke, ANANDA LEEKE. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Check me out. Listen to my story. Be inspired. Share your story. Tell me about how you are living your life, how you are embracing thriving mindfully. Tell me how you are serving in your community. Tell me how the 5 thriving mindfully commitments, the first one is, let's recap. The first one is slow your living. You hear me go, slow your living. The second one is sustain your living. The third one is share your living. The fourth is serve through your living. And the fifth is savor your living. How are you using those in your life? Follow me on social media and share. Use the hashtag Thriving Mindfully. And then visit AnandaLeeke.com to find out more about my sacred service and the trainings that I do, the speaking engagements, my artwork that's coming, that's giving birth this year, my book and journal that's coming. And let me tell you, the pièce de résistance is the Thriving Mindfully Academy and the Thriving Mindfully as You online course coming in March. And all of the moon circles that I do online and at Keith Raton CBDT and the meditation class. Drop on by, read the blog, find out. Buy the books. Go to Amazon.com or go to AnandaLeeke.com/books. You can sign up for my newsletter as well. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It's been a pleasure to share it with you. And may we all continue to embrace thriving mindfully in everything we feel, think, say, and do. Namaste.